Alrighty, another week, another Platinum Trophy review, and we've got a good one this week. Today we have BurritoPrime. Now, BurritoPrime's account has existed for about 6 years, with their first Platinum being Diablo 3, which is a hell of a first Platinum. I'll be interested to see how long that actually took. They've got 221 Platinums, and let's just jump in, shall we? Now, before we do, of course, if you would like your own account done, leave it in the comments below. Leave this video a cheeky like, maybe a subscribe, a comment about how wonderful and vast my knowledge of Platinums is, of course, and I'll see you on the list. Alrighty, and starting this list off, we have Square Root Letter, which is a it's like a visual novel of sorts, an RPG sort of one, nice and cruisy one, hence the near 50% completion rate, but a hell of a first Platinum to get started with. The second game on the list, a Kingstown Final Fantasy. We've seen this a few times. I don't think we've seen this completed too often, and that's sort of reflected by the 7% completion there. Third up, Adam's Venture Origins, discount bargain bin, Nathan Drake from Uncharted. I don't know why I can't think today, which is becoming a bit of a theme on these videos. But yeah, it's essentially a discount Nathan Drake from Uncharted. You're climbing puzzles. I don't think there's too many action sequences. I've never actually played it myself because I have Uncharted, why would I? But I've not heard good things about Adam Venture's Origins, and it wasn't until recently that I discovered there's actually more than one of these games. 80k Damashi, I've never heard of. I have no clue what this is, but it only took you a day and 7 hours, so bloody good work, Burrito. We've got Air here, Air A? Air A. I'm going to settle with Air A. 40 hours. A 2 out of 10 difficulty, however, and you've sort of dabbled in it early last year, but you haven't really continued from that point onwards at all. Agalos is another one I've never really heard of. It's gonna be one of those days. But it's a 6 out of 10, 18 difficulty with 6 days, so you completed it in under a week, which is awesome. Now, the next game I have heard of, I love Alice Madness Returns. This was a game that came out on the PS3. Sadly, it hasn't been ported to anything since. I would absolutely love it to be ported to the PS4 or the PS5, of course. This is like a really dark take on Alice in Wonderland. It's kind of like a action adventure platformer is how I would sort of describe it, but with a lot of really dark and gritty sort of elements to it. Absolutely fantastic game with some actually like genuinely tricky sections, hence the 14% platinum and the 6.75% completion rate. The DLC is actually fairly good as well. I think it's Something Oz. I think the DLC was Something Oz from memory. Now, the next Platinum here as well, Alien Isolation. You all know that I adore seeing Alien Isolation on a list. I love it. Now, it probably goes on a little too long. It probably goes past its best before date by about 3 endings. There's definitely a few points the game could have wrapped up and everyone would be very, very happy. The trophies, fairly tricky. Beat the game without dying, beat the game on the hardest difficulty, beat the game killing all of the dudes, beat the game without killing all of the dudes. There's a lot of beating the game, and but it's very, if you love the alien atmosphere and you love that universe, then you will thoroughly enjoy Alien Isolation. Hours Awakening, I've never heard of this one again. We've got 81% with an 8.87% rarity, so congratulations there. Only 3 trophies left, Burrito. Is this one that you sort of maybe plan on cleaning up at some point? Next up, we've got Arc the Lad Twilight of Tales. Arc the Lad is a bloody catchy name right there. Now we're getting into the arcade game series. Let's have a look here. We've got King of Fighters 95, 96, and 97. Anniversary edition for the classics. Dig Dug, Galaga, Miss Pac-Man. That's all the ones you've got there. Those are usually the ones that we do see, to be fair. Also, again, I will have to apologize. I am still a little bit very sick, so if my voice is a little bit scratchy today, I do apologize. But yeah, we have quite another beefy list of arcade series right here. I know some of these can actually be fairly tricky. I haven't tackled any of them myself, but I do know some of the games in this series are like ultra rares and stuff, which is very, very interesting. Arcana, sorry, is next. This is an RPG, a kind of very average RPG. I would sort of, if I was to rank it, I would put it somewhere near like Dragon Age Inquisition in terms of quality, which is either a positive or negative depending on how you look at that game. It's okay. It just doesn't do anything particularly special, which I think does let it down a little bit. But you did smash out that platinum in 3 days for a 7.57% completion, which is awesome. Art of Fighting Anthology. I believe this is like a side-scrolling fighting game. And an old one at that. I think this is a port of a classic from memory. You only did 33%, so I guess is this another one that you potentially might want to clean up at some point, Burrito? And then we get here they are. It's so wholesome. It's so wholesome. You love to see them. We've got I'll scroll up so you can see it there. There we go. We've got Brotherhood, Chronicles China, which you haven't finished. 2 Odyssey, Origins, Revelations, Rogue, Syndicate, and then it's flanked by Unity at the end. Now, I'm gonna guess with Unity, you haven't done the multiplayer. You can do nearly all of it by yourself from memory. I did all of it by myself. I did the co-op missions by myself, all that fun stuff. The one that you can't do by yourself is 10 synchronized kills. So you've got to kill a dude the same time a co-op player kills a dude. How I did it was I just kept going into people's worlds and then just watching them like a hawk. Like I would stand behind a guard and then just watch the other dude to see what they did. And I was able to get the 10 kills in only a couple of hours, but that was in 2019, I believe. So I don't know how alive the population of Assassin's Creed Unity is at this point. I assume not too great. And then, of course, you haven't done the DLC in Syndicate either, which, in all honesty, I thought was really good. I thought that the DLC in Syndicate was actually pretty solid, not gonna lie. We're getting to Axiom Verge next. This is kind of like a Metroidvania-ish side-scroller with... It's good. I haven't played it myself. A good friend of mine, We Are Two-Face from Missing Collectible, shout out to them, has and adores this game. I've watched him play it a little bit, and it's definitely one that I would like to try out myself at some point. Very striking visuals is how I would describe Axiom Verge. And there is a second that has a lot higher completion. I think the first game is about a 5% platinum rarity, and I think the second game's as high as 20%. So bit of a jump there if people wanted to dabble their toes in, perhaps. Bastion is next. I believe Bastion was made by the guys who made Hades, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going off of the Platchumps comp that they did like a month or two ago. I'm pretty sure they did Bastion for that. That's where I get my knowledge from. 2 months and 2 weeks for 12% platinum is very, very impressive. Now, speaking of impressive, holy smokes. We have Arkham Asylum on the PS3, Arkham Asylum on the PS4, Batman Arkham City on the PS3, Night. We don't have Origins. Come on, man. Where's the best Arkham game? Where's the best Arkham game? Now, Batman Arkham Knight's platinum is very impressive. I wouldn't do it. I could barely do Arkham Asylum without assistance. So there's no way in hell I could do Arkham Knight. I know that some of those combat challenges are very, very difficult, and stringing together things like all of the different gadgets in one sequence and stuff like that, too difficult for my brain, put it that way. But very, very impressive. I would love to see Origins there too, though. I definitely think that it is heavily underrated in that series. Battle Chasers Night War. We've got some Bayonetta here. We've got Bayonetta twice, actually, with... it looks like you're doing Bayonetta 2 on the PS4 currently, perhaps, given that it was done what, a week ago, a week from when I recorded this. But you smashed out the first Bayonetta in only 2 days, which is very, very impressive. A game that I've never played myself, but it looks cool. It's definitely one that I would like to at some point. Only one BioShock with the PS4 one. You haven't done the DLC. Now I can say the DLC's got a very low rarity, as you can see there, 12.61% to a 3.79% overall completion. That DLC is not that difficult. There are a lot of guides online where if you just follow through and you pause at different sections, you'll get a first try. I believe I did in like 2 hours. Blasphemous, this is another one I would love to do myself. You did it in a month and 3 weeks, which is super, super impressive. Blasting Agent and Blazing Chrome, very, very good ones there as well. We've got some Bless Unleashed. I've never heard of Bless Unleashed, if I'm perfectly honest, but that 0.43% is terrifying. You've done about half the list. Next up, we've got Bloodborne. You haven't done the DLC. Okay, Burrito, if there's anything that we've seen so far, the Old Hunters DLC is awesome. It is definitely worth a pickup at some point. I definitely need to get back to Bloodborne on Symmetry myself. I have got the Platinum and the 100% on an older account, Mudstuff and 767, if you wanted to look it up on PSNP. Very, very good game. I would say probably the best entry Souls game is how I would describe Bloodborne. It's got the least amount of missable stuff, in my opinion. It's got probably, I want to say streamlined combat, but I think that's a lie with the switching of the weapons. It's got less weapons, but more variety in those weapons. So you might get accustomed to, say, an axe that becomes a longer axe. That is then good in a variety of situations, whereas in a Dark Souls game, if you use a greatsword and you meet a narrow hallway, you're in trouble. Yeah, I would say Bloodborne is definitely probably my pick for the entry in the series. Anyway, that's enough Bloodborne. I'm okay. I don't have to fangirl about it all day. So let's move into the Castlevanias here. We've got Bloodstain of the Moon, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, Ritual of the Night, which I think is a lot of people's favorites from memory. A Castlevania Advance Collection. Is Advance Collection a collection of the ones that were on Game Boy Advance? Castlevania Anniversary, and Castlevania Requiem, Symphony of the Night, and Rondo of Blood. Now, that's the only one I've actually played personally. I do have Ritual of the Night, and I do want to play it at some point. It's just, I have like a 400 game backlog at this point, which is terrifying. And then the last one here is Castlevania Lord of Shadow. As you can see there, most of them are sort of hinging around the 10 to like 40% completion, which is super, super impressive. We've got Cat Quest next. This is a relatively easy peasy, but I've heard good things about it. I've heard it's cute and charming, much in the same way that something like Donut County is. Celeste is next. This is another one that I would love to do myself. This is kind of like another sort of side-scrolling Metroidvania of sorts. Although Celeste has got this really cool concept where you're essentially stalked by like your inner demon the whole time. I can't think of what her name is off the top of my head, but essentially a miserable alt version of you that is trying to essentially hinder your progress, and that's a really cool concept. But Case of Deponia is next. This is part of the Deponia series. I couldn't tell you which one. We have Chasm, Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, Everybody. I did not know that Chocobo had his own standalone game. That is interesting and terrifying all at once. Claire is a movie sort of game. There's a lot of endings. You're essentially just watching a bunch of cutscenes play out and then picking dialogue decisions and actions based on how they sort of go. And I think there's 6 endings off the top of my head that you have to sit through, which is far too many for me. Cosmic Star Heroine. Costume Quest 2. This is one I'm kind of interested in doing myself at some point, actually, Costume Quest. We get into the Crash Bandicoots, which is awesome to see. The first game without the DLC, I can understand that. The second game, 100%, and the third game without the DLC. To be perfectly honest with you, I did not know that Crash Bandicoot Warped even had DLC. The only one you ever hear about is Stormy Ascent in the first game, which is terrifying. I've tried it myself. Not good at it. Not good at all. I'd be curious to see if you ever plan on doing the fourth game. I know the fourth is a beefy boy. Cuphead is next. The DLC just came out very, very recently. I believe in the last month. But you got the platinum in 3 days and 44 minutes, which is kind of scary because I do know that that game is genuinely difficult. Although it does look like you are well-versed in Souls games and that sort of difficulty based on what I'm seeing below. Siberian, the time-traveling warrior. This looks like it might be an easy peasy based on the 56 minutes and the 85% completion. We've got some Dark Clouds here. The Dark Cloud games were, I believe, RPGs from the PS2. I don't think the first one was PS1. I think they're both PS2. They're fun. They're both on my to-do list myself. I did not know the second game was as rare as it is, though. 3.71%. That's interesting. Yeah, I knew about the first game, obviously. I played it on the PS2. But no, I did not know the second game was as rare as it is. Then we get into the Souls, which is, this is beautiful. The second game, 100%. The third game, 100%. And the remaster of the original, 100%. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love to see it. That is a beautiful stack, and I see a Demon Souls down here too. So, wholesome, truly wholesome. Darksiders is next. I love the first Darksiders. This is kind of a adventure hack and slash Metroidvania of sorts. You're essentially playing one of the four horsemen, trying to work out why the events that bring about the apocalypse have started. Very, very fun boss fights, except the bat, stuff the bat. Very, very fun. I actually like this whole series. I mean, I haven't played Genesis yet. I do plan on doing it relatively soon. But the first game and the third game, the second game is kind of mid for me. But yeah, the first game is definitely my favorite and definitely worth a play at some point. Relatively easy platinum too. Days Gone, you've done the platinum, you've not done the DLC. I understand. That DLC blows. That DLC is awful. It is essentially the whole game is very slow paced, resource heavy. You're sort of, you might be fighting a horde, and the hordes in this are genuinely fun, but you might be fighting a horde and you're watching your ammo, you're watching resources because it's going to take a while to get them back. And then you get to the DLC and it's like, yo, do everything as fast as possible, bro. It becomes like an arcadey sort of thing, and it just doesn't work in a game that's entire physics and game engine is based around really slow resource management. I hated it. I haven't finished it myself, but I've had a couple attempts, and I'll get back to it at some point. But I don't blame anyone that doesn't, because it's awful. Dead Nation, again, I need to just sit down and do Dead Nation. I actually, after last week's one, I believe it was, or it might have been the week before, I actually installed Dead Nation because I see it literally every single week. I think this is like the mascot game of this series at this point. I see it every single week, and I'm always like, I don't really know what it is, but I've always wanted to play it. And I've got to say it again this week. In future weeks, I'll just have like a little pop-up that pops up here to explain myself. Deadlight Director's Cut. That's a really hefty ultra rare there as well. Back-to-back ultra rares. You'd love to see it. Deponia and Deponia Doomsday. I think there's one more Deponia. I think there's 4 all up, and we've had Chaos, Doomsday, and the first game there. Detroit Become Human. Didn't like that one at all myself. You did in 5 days. That's a lot of magazines that you had to collect in 5 days. I think it took me like a month to sift through that. We get into some very impressive Devil May Cries here in the first game complete, the second game complete, the third game complete, the fourth game just started, and the fifth game, I believe that looks like you've done 2 playthroughs-ish based on the percentages. I've obviously heard very, very good things about the later Devil May Cries. I played the early ones on the PS2, but I've heard good things about the later ones, but I don't think I'll ever be going to something like Devil May Cry 5 myself. Some of those difficulties just sound insane. Devious dungeons with it looks like that might be a relatively easy peasy based on the 86.21%. We're getting to some Diablo here. You've started Diablo 2 Resurrected. This game has an insane platinum that requires like hours to complete the rival stuff like Elder Scrolls Online, which is kind of crazy. There's a lot of very, very, very rough, grindy trophies to max out levels and stuff like that. I've definitely seen some disputes on this site itself about people that got that very, very fast, but good luck. It looks like that might be one of your current games based on the 8th of June of this year. We've got some Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. Wait, wasn't that your first platinum? I could have sworn Diablo 3 was your first platinum. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm just crazy. But you've made some hefty, in fact, you've made some hefty progress in Diablo 3 as well, which is always very, very nice to see there. Digimon Cyber Sleuth and the Hacker's Memory. Not very much progress there, but it is a game you're currently working on based on the time that it's been done. Same with Digimon World Next Order, which is one that you were working on as early as last week. Or as late as last week, rather. We've got some Divinity Original Sin, very, very close to being completed. This is one, again, that I would love to do myself. This is kind of like a top-down tactical RPG, I guess you would call it, or a CRPG, I think is the correct term. You sort of build a class, build a race. It's based very heavily on Dungeons and Dragons, I believe. This is coming from someone who's never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I believe that it's very, very inspired on that, and it looks fantastic. Very, it harkens back. It gives me a lot of sort of nostalgia towards things like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale, for example. We've got DMC Devil May Cry. I believe that's the reboot that no one liked right there. And I'm basing that on the lad's bleach blonde hair right here. Maybe I should grow my hair out and bleach it blonde. No, I shouldn't. Doom 64 right here. I believe this one was a relatively easy one to sort of cheese. You could go in and just essentially use cheats to open up every single level of the game and just walk into it or something. Double Dragon 4, this was a fighting game from back in the day. We've got some Dragon Ages here with two complete but not Inquisition. That's my eyebrow's been raised, Burrito. My eyebrow has been raised. 2, you haven't done the DLC, and I think there's 54 trophies in the base game. Do you know the terrifying thing about this? I'm gonna prove it. Let me open up Inquisition real quick. Let's have a look here. No, there's 51 in the base game. Okay. But you were only a couple off, like I thought. The reason that I thought I was so close is you haven't beaten the game. That's interesting. So you haven't beaten the game yet. Nightmare difficulty, yeah. So it's just nightmare difficulty and beating the game. Oh, you've got this, Burrito. I believe in you. The reason I knew that, I was thinking about this today. I've platinum. I don't like Dragon's Age Inquisition. I want to make that clear. Don't like the game. I have platinumed it 3 times. Once on an account that was just a throwaway offline account back when the game came out and I first got a PS4 in, 2014? Once again on Mudstuffin', my old account that I had whilst I was at uni. And then once again on Symmetry. I don't like the game, but yeah, 3 times I've sat through that. It's worth one attempt. Definitely not 3. I could have been doing so much productive stuff with my life. This is a sad realization. You're about to see a breakdown live on video. Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I believe that we see a lot of these each week. These are kind of fighting games. Then we get into some Dragon Age, which I always love to see. So we've got Dragon Age Heroes 2. This is kind of a spin-off on the series itself. as is Heroes, the World's Tree, sorry, this is the worst name ever. Dragon Quest Heroes, the World's Trees Woe, and the Blight Below. Now, if you don't mind, I now need to go have a walk and clear my head after trying to have to explain that name. But these are essentially like, very large scale battlefields, and you're essentially just a hero and you're just taking out minions, kind of like Dynasty Warriors essentially, I believe. But Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age is part of the mainline series and is an actual JRPG and is apparently a very good one. I've played a lot of that series. I played essentially all of them from 3 up till 9. 10 I believe being an online MMO that was Japanese exclusive. But I haven't got around to sitting through 11 yet, but it's one that I really want to do at some point. Dragon's Crown, another very good one right there. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, one of my favorite games ever. I adore Dragon's Dogma. We've been talking about Dragon's Dogma quite a bit in the Discord lately, and it is definitely bringing back my nostalgia. I actually own this game twice physically on the PS3. Bought the original, and then I bought Dark Arisen again because Dark Arisen was kind of like a like an expansion that released as its own kind of standalone of sorts. Very good games. If you like combat and not much else, then Dragon's Dogma is the game for you. DuckTales, I think we see this most weeks. Very impressive, 100%. Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary World Tour. This is one that I talk about that I would love to do myself at some point. Dust Elysium Tale is always an awesome one to see. Edna and Harvey's New Eyes, I've never heard of. Energy Invasion, I believe this is a relatively easy peasy. We've got Enter the Gungeon here that you've sort of started but haven't made too much progress on just yet. Alrighty, and next up we have Fear 3. This one I believe doesn't have any multiplayer, but is kind of the last of the Fear trilogy. I would love to play these myself at some point. I just sort of I've made a decision not to add PS3 to my account just because that would open so many games to my already over large backlog. We've got some Fallouts here in 4 and New Vegas. 4 you've half done. New Vegas you've kind of just dipped a toe into. Fair enough, these aren't games for everyone, especially Fallout 4 with its DLC. I was not a fan of any of the DLCs besides Far Harbor, to be perfectly honest with you. We've got Fatal Fury Battles Archives Volume 2. We've got some Fear Effects Sedna. I've never heard of this, but I think it might be a visual novel. And then we get into, holy smokes, we get into a stack of Final Fantasies here. Final Fantasy 9, Type 0 HD, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, without the DLC because it's just the PS4 version, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 10, 10-2, what is this, 12 the Zodiac Age, Final Fantasy 13, 13-2, I didn't even know there was a 13-2, Final Fantasy 15, only the Platinum though, okay, I would be interested to see, because I do know you can get the Comrades DLC, but you've got to use software to backdate your updates or something to get back to a point when before it was closed off and inaccessible. I know you can do this for a lot of games to get back to, say, or a lot of digital games to get back to, say, the day one patch. I don't do it myself just because the software is a little bit scary, but it's a good way of doing that if you ever wanted to get those trophies. Very impressive Final Fantasy stack right there, actually. I don't think, besides 14, of course, I don't think there's any you are missing on the PS4. I think you've done them all, compared to my half-done Final Fantasy 7 Remake. And half is where I'm going to leave that. Flatland Prologue, Foxyland. Foxyland is a bit of an easy peasy, but I've heard very good things about Foxyland 1 and 2. We've got some Gauntlet. Gauntlet's terrifying. The fact that you've done Gauntlet in a week and 6 days is seriously impressive. I believe Gauntlet was free to play, if I'm not mistaken. We've got some Gem Smashers, which I think is another free to play one from memory. Ghoul Boy, this is an action sort of game on the Vita. We've got some God Eater Resurrection, which is a bit of a classic. We've got the God of Wars on the PS4. So we've got God of War 3 remastered in a day and 6 hours. I think that's identical to how long it took me to do, actually. I think I'm about a day and 6 hours as well, funny enough. And then God of War 2018, 2 weeks and 3 days. I love both of these games. I think I like God of War 3 more. I think it might actually be my favorite God of War game. For those that are curious as how you can do it that fast, play the game on whatever difficulty you want first, beat it, get all the upgrades, go back on Nightmare difficulty or whatever it's called, I Am God difficulty or whatever, and you'll be able to break a chain right at the start of the game and just ride your way to the boss fight in like 15 minutes. Now, hold on, there's one game between. God Wars Future Past, I've never heard of, but Graveyard Keeper. Oh, I love to see this right here. I adore, this is my current game that I'm working on for the Platinum. Think Stardew Valley, but you've got a frigging graveyard, and it is awesome. It is, it's such a fun time. I would definitely be interested to see if you plan on going back and doing those DLCs, because they're very fun. One of them lets you run an inn, and another one lets you create a zombie army to do all of your all of your chores. Very, very fun game. If you like Stardew Valley or My Time at Portia or any of those sorts of Harvest Moon, Graveyard Keeper will be right up your alley. I'm tempted to do a video on the game. I'm tempted to do a Platinum Standard on it when I'm done, but it'll take a while. As you can see, 5 months and 2 weeks for Burrito here, and it'll probably take me at least a month. Grim Fandango's next. This is a classic made by LucasArts. We've got Gunlord X and Hack GU Last Recode. I believe that one is a visual novel. I'm not entirely sure about Gunlord. We've got some Hollow Knight 100%, another one that will be part of the Platinum Standard series very, very soon. That'll probably be the game after Demon Souls, which is the current work in progress one. Very, very good. I'd be interested to see if you did the Pantheon legit or if you use the glitch. Very, very fun side-scrolling sort of hack and slash adventure game. We've got Horizon Zero Dawn. Only the Platinum. I will say that the DLC I thought was actually better than the base game, so if you ever wanted to go back to that, that's a very, very fun one right there. Don't do Forbidden West. First Light. Funny enough, First Light but not Second Son. Okay, that's interesting. We've got Just Cause 3. You kind of dabbled, didn't get too far into. I actually had the same. I found that the frame rate on the PS3 version was very not good, and that was kind of disappointing because I do like Just Cause 2. I will go back and do Just Cause 3 at some point. Oh my goodness. That's a terrifying stack of Kingdom Hearts that we have here. Okay, let's dive in. Kingdom Hearts 0.2, Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, I like those two names, Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, Kingdom Hearts Rechain Memories, Kingdom Hearts Like and Subscribe to Symmetry. That is a beefy series right there. And I'm not sure if you've got all of them. I think there's like 1,000 dreams and a bottle of Bacardi or something, but that's a very, very impressive stack right there. You know what? This is going to terrify some people. I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game. I know exactly what they're about. I've watched people play them. I've been at mates' places while they've played them, but I've never actually played a second of Kingdom Hearts myself. If I was going to dabble in the Disney meets Final Fantasy, what one would you recommend, perhaps? We've got LA Noire twice. I think this is our first stack, and I'm going to be honest, I love that stack right there. That is a hell of a good stack to start on. LA Noire is a cop game made by an Australian, I think it's the last AAA Australian game released, sadly enough, but it was made by an Australian dev with Rockstar as the publishers in 2010-ish. Very, very good game. You play as a detective throughout the 50s and the early 60s. Awesome game. All I'm going to say is Platinum LA Noire, you will not regret it. Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris and Lara Croft Go. I see these a lot of weeks. We've talked about these being sort of spin-offs to the mainline Lara Croft games. Lara Croft Temple of the Osiris kind of being like almost like a twin stick shooter of sorts. It sort of is, but sort of not. And then Lara Croft Go being a tile puzzle game. Life is Strange 1 and Life is Strange Before the Storm. I am weird in that I think I'm the only person that likes Life is Strange Before the Storm more than the first game, although I will say that True Colors is by far and away my favorite of the group. We've got Limbo here, 1 trophy. You've kind of dabbled, but you haven't done too much in this one. That's fair. I know that the trophy for beating the game with 5 deaths or less is actually kind of genuinely tricky. Little Adventure on the Prairie. This is a early easy peasy right there, with its 19 minutes and 96% completion rate, which is kind of scary compared to the 2 minutes that you can get the Alligator Z or whatever those ones are called these days, the Bat D and all this sort of crap. We've got Lone Survivor with 1 year and 4 months. 4.5% completion rate. That is a very nice one to see there. And a Tom Clancy one too, which is really cool. And then Lords of the Fallen, gross. I don't like Lords of the Fallen at all. I got as far as the final boss. I haven't even versed him. I was just like, nah, I'm done. I keep saying that I'm saving that game for like my 10,000th platinum. It's gonna be very special when we get there. It's actually, Lords of the Fallen is the longest game not complete on my account Symmetry. Going on, what, 4 or 5 years now? I think it's 4 years. I think I'm going on 4 years. Of having Lords of the Fallen sitting there at a C rank from memory. Alrighty, this is followed by Medieval here, which is a PS4 remaster of the classic PS1 game, kind of like a hack and slash adventure, I guess you would describe it as. It plays a knight brought back to rescue some people from memory. My headset's around the wrong way. This is awkward. We're going to do a live swap. I was wondering why I could hear scraping in my right ear. That was strange. Oh, geez. Now I'm making a fool of myself. There we go. Professional. Then we get into a very impressive 2 series, actually, by the one below it as well. Mega Man 11, Mega Man Legacy Collection, Mega Man Collection 2, Mega Man X Legacy Collection, Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2. There's a difference. A Mega Man 0/ZX Legacy Collection. My brain hurts. My brain hurts at some of these names. Could we just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Like that's all I ask for. But some seriously impressive collections here. I assume the collections have multiple of the classic older games in them, for example. So this is very nice to see here. Followed by some Metal Gear, which of course I love to see. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is so underrated. That game is incredible. It's like it's a spin-off from the main series, but it's a hack and slash. If you're going to play a spin-off, play this one. Don't play Survive. Snake Eater, that's my favorite of the Metal Gears personally. Very fun one. It's set in I believe it's set in the 70s. Some very fun boss fight mechanics and stuff like that. Guns of the Patriots, Guns of the cutscenes, very long, lots of cutscenes. It's good though. I like Guns of the Patriots. Ground Zeroes, I love the first half. The second half, not so much. Sorry, no, Ground Zeroes is the kind of like, it doesn't have a platinum trophy, but it's kind of like a prequel to Phantom Pain. It's fun. You're essentially just attacking one big base over and over again for a lot of different missions. You've then got Phantom Pain right here. This one is the one that I was talking about where I really like the first half, and then the second half you can tell they ran out of money and kind of just rehash the first half for some reason. It's fun. It's okay. But I definitely think there are stronger titles in the series, such as Revengeance and Snake Eater. We've got Metal Slug Anthology and Metal Slug XX. Always nice to see both of those here. Only one Metro. That hurts me. I love my Metro series, so only seeing 2033 hurts the soul. Very good first-person shooters set down in the Russian metros after the world has essentially turned to poop due to nuclear bombings and stuff like that. Too real. And 20 Last Light is the sequel, and then Exodus is the last of the trilogy. I love 2033. Last Light is nearly as good in my opinion. I know a lot of people prefer it, but I like the first one. And then Exodus, too much open world, not enough Metro is all I'm gonna say. We've then got Shadow of War Game of the Year edition. Now, you've done the Platinum but not the 100%, which is interesting to me because I do know that the 100% is actually easier to get one of the gems required for the Platinum in. So that's interesting to me that you didn't do the DLC that is provided. I'm starting to notice, Burrito, you don't necessarily do DLC, you just go for the base game, and that's fair. We've got some Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I believe this is the second game in the Mirror's Edge series. We've got Momodoro Reverie Under the Moonlight. We've got Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 10. 10, of course, having a couple unobtainable trophies, which is a shame because that's a very impressive 100% right there. Murdered Soul Suspect, a game that I often talk about as one I've done myself and remember literally nothing about. You're a ghost detective, and that is all I remember about that game, which not a good marketing point right there. We've got some Naruto here in Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 Full Blast. Again, just use bloody numbers. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. Where's Ninja Storm 2? Come on, Burrito. I need Ninja Storm 2. I'm sure its name is... Let me guess the name for that one. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 2. Like and subscribe to Symmetry. We've got some Neo, The World Ends With You. We've got Neverwinter. Oh, that is terrifying. That is terrifying, Burrito. With 3 unobtainable... Does it... Hold on. I want to see what's unobtainable. I know... So Neverwinter is kind of a classic... RPG, much like Icewind Dale and Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. It's free and it offers a million DLCs, hence the 0.01% completion. That is terrifying. That makes Elder Scrolls Online look like an easy peasy. Let's have a look. I want to see A, how many DLCs there are, and B, which trophies are incomplete here, or unobtainable rather. Let's have a look. So the first DLC, all 3 in here. Defeat all 4 dragons in the dragon fight in a single encounter. Earn gold victory in Demogorgon. And earn gold victory in Demogorgon Master. I assume these are raids that have since been removed from the game, perhaps. And then, oh my goodness, that is a lot of DLC. 11 DLCs. No, thank you. I have games to play. That is terrifying. And then Nexomon here is kind of like, I believe Nexomon is like the Retallica version of Pokemon, but I've heard it's pretty decent. We've got some Ni no Kuni here. Ni no Kuni 2 in the Revenant Kingdom, Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, and Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch on the PS4. I have never played any of these, but I kind of want to play the first game at least. They look like Studio Ghibli movies, essentially, is kind of what I would say the graphic art style looks like, coming from a guy who's never watched a Studio Ghibli movie, but I do know what they look like, with like Howl's Moving Castle, etc, etc. But I remember watching, I think it was Nerd Cubed on YouTube way back in the day. Wow, that's a flashback. I've not thought about that guy in years. But I remember watching, I think it was him play like the first couple of hours in his Let's Play series. And it is so cute, but so dark. That opening is so dark. And I remember that gripping me enough that I've always wanted to get around to at least the first game ever since. We've got some Nier Automata. A lot of people love Nier. We've got some Neo here. Neo 1 and Neo 2. Neo 1 has some brutal DLCs that require you to play the game essentially over and over and over again. But very impressive plats there. I've heard very good things about Neo. Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas. I've never heard of that. Dallas, Cage, Shadow King. Okami is always a nice one to see, a classic. I believe it first came out on the PS3 and then was remastered to PS4. I don't think it came out on the PS2. Oniken, Onimusha Warlords. Path of Exile is another one of these CRPGs. Another one that I would like to maybe do at some point. That 0.5 0.54% is terrifying. Perils of Baking in 2 hours and 58 minutes. A good friend of mine, Peter from Missing Collectible, the other Missing Collectible, shout out to them, got this platinum recently, and I think he got the world first in it. I think he's the first completer of Perils of Baking, and I remember sitting there and brainstorming how to get one of those trophies to pop, where you had to like dance or something. You had to dance to the beat was the description of the trophy, and it turned out what you had to do was you had to sit on like the main menu or something and like wiggle the thumbsticks to the beat or some absolute garbage like that. But definitely a fun memory. We've got Persona 5 100%. Burrito, would you ever consider doing a Royal perhaps? We've got some Psychonauts. We've got some Ratchet and Clank the remaster. I always like seeing that one. That was I enjoyed that one, even though they did cut a lot from the game that it was remastering essentially. A little bit of Red Dead. You can clean. Well, you are working on Red Dead 2 currently. I believe in you, Burrito. I reckon you've got that Red Dead plat in the bag. It's such a fun experience. And then we get into I likey what I see. We've got Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 0, Resi 2, Resi 3. Didn't do the DLC in 2. Neither have I. Resi 5 twice. Double stack of Resi 5. That is an interesting one to stack right there. Resi 6 and Resi 7 Biohazard. Obviously, I did 7 as our first Platinum Standard video on the channel. Do go watch that if you would like to see me suffer. Resident Evil Code Veronica is Code Veronica X. Is it not just Code Veronica? What is Code Veronica X? I assume that's just Code Veronica, right? Because I know that the European version of it's like near unobtainable based on how the times or something work with the loading screens for the speed runs. And then Resident Evil Darkside Chronicles is a on-rail shooter from memory. Very, very impressive stack of Resident Evils there. I don't blame you for not doing some of those DLCs. 7 has some pretty rough DLCs. 6's DLC is entirely multiplayer. 5's is kind of rough. One of the DLCs is really cool. The rest of it's multiplayer and poop. But very, very impressive stack right there. And I always love to see Resident Evil 0 get some love. It is definitely the like weird stepchild of the family. It's got some cool ideas, but got rid of the item box, and for that reason, it holds a very sour place in my heart. I was so sick of backtracking for items by the time I was done. My playthrough of that way back on the GameCube or something from memory. I think the GameCube's what that came out on. I would love to get the Platinum in it one day. Future Platinum Standard maybe. We've got some Rise of the Tomb Raider Platinum. You've done more than I did because I didn't do the Platinum. Those challenge modes, they suck. I don't enjoy the challenge modes in this game. I need to do it soon because I know Square has sold the rights to Tomb Raider or something, and I'm kind of concerned that the servers will shut. So probably want to get around and do those at some point. Obviously, Killzone Shadowfall is my current server rush to get done, which is fun. We've got some Rogue Galaxy, which I know is a very, very big and beefy RPG. Romancing Saga 2 and 3, whereas Romancing Saga 1. Saints Row 4 Re-Elected. I don't hate this one. I know a lot of people don't like Re-Elected. It's okay. It's not offensive. It's just you're a superhero. And I think what kind of annoyed a lot of people was it was so far away from the original sort of gangster setting that made the first 2 games so good. And I agree, but I wasn't offended by these massive changes into turning it into like a superhero sandbox. Sultans Sanctuary is another one I would love to try at some point. I can see you sort of dabbled at the start of this year, but didn't get much further. Samurai Showdown 6, Samurai Showdown Neo Geo Collection, Sega Mega Drive, and Genesis Classics. I think it's really cool that you've actually got a lot of, because we had the arcade series earlier as well, and we've had a couple classic fighters in here as well. I think it's cool that you've got a lot of these actually. it shows that maybe you've been around the block for a while. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. This is the only mainline Souls game I have not played. I do own it and should probably play at some point. Platinum standard video, perhaps. I've got a real long line of Platinum standard videos at some point. Shadow Blade Reload. Shadow Complex is a really, really cool one to see. With its 3% ultra rare, super impressive. Shadow of the Beast is one that I've always been kind of curious about but haven't tried myself. I believe it is a hack and slash. Shadow of the Colossus in 2 weeks is impressive because I know you have to run through it quite a few times to get all of the collectibles and sort of speed runs and stuff like that. And then Shadow of the Tomb Raider 100%, Platinum, not 100%. A lot easier of a game to get the Platinum in than I would say Rise of the Tomb Raider. I will be interested to see if we actually see Tomb Raider 2013 below. I think we've seen the Tomb Raider series in nearly every single video as well, funny enough, in this series. You certainly saw them on my account and quite a few since. Shadow Tactics, Shalnor Legends, Sacred Lands. We're getting to some Shantae, which is a series I really want to play at some point. I've watched Ray, the former Achievement Hunter dude that now streams on Twitch. I've watched him play these. They look fantastic as sort of side-scrolling platformers. Definitely ones that I want to do at some point alongside stuff like Celeste. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, really impressive Platinum right there, actually. I know that 100% is very, very difficult, hence the 0.69 giggle, I'm mature, percentage rate right there. Sigia Fart for Melusina. I've never heard of that, but that is... It looks like it's an easy peasy, but it looks like an easy peasy I want to play. Slain Back from Hell. This is another one that my good friend We Are Two-Face from Missing Collectible has recommended to me before. Another side scroller, but I believe it's got like a heavy metal soundtrack, which sounds awesome. As you can see, it's only 12 hours, but it is a 5 out of 10 difficulty. As for those, I'll just say real quick to the 5 people that have got this far. The difficulty stuff that comes from PSNP Plus. I do want to see if I can get them to do in a future update a thing where I can just toggle on all of those difficulties without having to individually go into every game, because I've done it for a couple of reviews so far, and it's like, it takes me like 2 hours to get them all on, especially if an account is in the hundreds of platinums. So I do want to do more of it. It's just a case of getting it to a point where it's not as long to set up. Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition. I always love to see this. You got the 100%. You did the DLC. High five. High five, Burrito. That's some rough DLC. That's probably the game that stopped you doing DLC, because that DLC sucks. The base game is amazing. The DLC in Sleeping Dogs is, it's poop. Sonic Forces, another 100%. Oh, it's so good to see. I love to see that right there. I think that was a PS Plus offering from memory. We got some Sonic Mania. We got some Spartan. I've never heard of Spartan, but I assume it's based on the Greek Spartans. In fact, I can see that it is based on the little dude right there. We've got the Spyro trilogy. Always nice to see those. I should do those at some point. I should just sit down and do those. Star Ocean First Departure R, Star Ocean Integrity, Star Ocean Last Hope, Star Ocean Till the End of Time. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, please. I've heard very, very good things about Star Ocean. I briefly played one on the Nintendo DS. I played as a little robot dude from memory. But they're not my type of thing personally, but I do know these are big, beefy platinums, hence those 1% and 2% ultra rares right there. Stardew Valley, I'm actually interested to see, I want to see what you haven't earned in this. So once I finish Graveyard Keeper, I think Stardew will be my next big farming sim, essentially, because I do love it's a genre that I adore, and I'm interested to see. So you've got to earn 10 million gold. Fair enough. That is there's a beefy requirement right there. What else do we have? Journey of the Prairie King. Shocker. Restore the Pelican Town Community Center. Really? You haven't got that far? I'm guessing you did. I'm guessing you actually did the JoJo core instead, because I know there's a choice you have to make there that makes one of them technically missable, and then beat the Journey of the Prairie King without dying. Now, Prairie King, beat the whole thing without dying. It's still hard. It's still very hard, but I've heard it's significantly easier after an update they put out this year that essentially allows you to quit out and then go and save at your bed. So you can like cycle a day in advance, which will save the game, allowing you to go back into Prairie King and do more levels without dying, which makes it so that you don't have to do the entire thing in one go and hope that you get the coins and the weapon drops and stuff, which is very, very nice. So I would say Burrito, if you needed a reason to go back and do that, there's a good one right there. We've got some SteamWorld Dig in 1 and 2 right there. Stories, The Path of Destinies is a cool one to see. We've got Stretch, Strider, Super Scalamania, Sword Art, RE, Hollow Fragment. That's an online RPG, of course. Tales of Arise, Tales of Berseria, Tales of Grace F, or we're into the Tales now. Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Zilia, Tales of Zilia 2, Tales of Zestria. That is, I don't think that's all of them, because I think my good friend Paro in the Discord, his account Dargle, I think had a hell of a lot more than that from memory. But that's a lot of 100% in the series, though. In fact, you're only really missing Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. So what makes that one harder than the rest of them, Burrito? I'd be curious to sort of see why you didn't get the platinum in that one, but you have gone and smashed out the rest of the series. We've got Teslagrad. That's one that I've always wanted to do personally as well. The Evil Within is a really cool one to see. It's one, again, that I need to do myself. I started the game as a Halloween stream last year and have been heavily slacking since. The Evil Within 2, of course, is one that you can essentially cheese by just becoming invincible. But I think all you need to do is put down your Bethesda.net email address or something. It gives you cheat codes to become invincible, which is a choice. The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing 1 and 2 right here. The King of Fighters 98 Ultimate March and the King of Fighters 2000. These are old classic fighting games right here. Like I was saying before with the Galaga stuff, very cool to see some of these. The Last Blade 2, The Last of Us on the PS3. This is very unobtainable now with the multiplayer servers currently shut. So that's unfortunate to see. I'm sorry to see that. The Legend of Korra. The Long Reach is one that I'm kind of curious about. I know it's a bit of an easy peasy. Again, you'll have to excuse the voice. I'm still very sick, so I'm sort of losing my voice right now. But yeah, I've heard good things about The Long Reach. The Order 1886, this was a game that annoyed a lot of people with how short it was. You could beat it in sort of 3 to 4 hours. I liked it personally. I thought it was very, very pretty and did essentially what it set out to do. We've got some Walking Dead here in just the first game, actually. I didn't know it had DLC. Huh, the more you know. The Witcher, we've got the first version of the game you only sort of dabbled in, and then I'm guessing let me guess, you bought the complete edition for the DLC and stuff, thinking that it would still be the same list as The Witcher 3 that you started beforehand, and it's a separate list. I'm guessing that's what happened right there. The Wolf Among Us is a Telltale game. It's kind of like a dark and gritty investigating game set on a bunch of popular fairy tale characters. Thief is the remaster of the classic PC games from like the 2000s that I've heard is not great. It's one that I want to do myself at some point, but I've not heard good things. Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales is the spin-off Witcher game, essentially. You play as a princess from Denerim, from memory. It's one of the northern kingdoms as she sets out on a pilgrimage to essentially gather a host to her name, to her claim. And I want to play this. I would be very, very interested, Burrito, if you have watched the video. Is it worth playing? Because it's one that I really want to do at some point. I don't know why I haven't done it yet. I think it's just one of those ones that I kind of forget exists. Time Spinner. We've got, I knew we were going to see it, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. Now, I can already tell right there that you have not done that multiplayer. That multiplayer is rough. Level 60, essentially it's just you for like 12 hours, picking up medkits, taking them to a spot, dropping them, rinsing and repeating. It's rough. Tomb Raider Underworld, this is the PS3 one that I think we've seen on nearly every single list. Torchlight 2, Transistor, Trials of Mana, Trials of Mana rather, is always a cool one to see. Then we're getting into some Trine here. We've got Trine 2, Trine 3, Trine 4, and Trine Enhanced Edition. These are kind of like side-scrolling adventure RPG sort of. You've got 3 classes that you can play as. They're fun games. They're ones that I would like to eventually go back and do the Platinums for at some point. I played them on PC from memory. Or I think I played Trine 2 and 3. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is a scary plat. You've strived to get there with your 29%, which is very, very impressive to have got that far. So nice work there, man. I've noticed that my internet's disconnected. That's awkward. Let's get that reconnected real quick. Hopefully that loads in the rest of the list here before I get there. I need to stall Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. No, it's the PS3 version. Sadly, the servers have shut the same way that the PS3 ones have shut. It looks like you didn't bother with the PS3 one at all. In fact, I know that you haven't. But you have done the Platinum for Uncharted 2 twice, obviously, 3 and 4. It sadly hasn't refreshed yet, so I'll be back in a quick little hard cut. Alrighty, and we're on the final stretch here with Uncharted Drake's Fortune Remastered, which is obviously the first in the series. You haven't done any DLC, which includes things like speed runs, which are fairly cruisy speed runs in all honesty, and then brutal difficulty, which sucks. We've got we've got Lost Legacy. I forgot about that one. That one was the one that was originally supposed to be a DLC for 4, but became standalone. That is very, very good. Might even be one of my favorites in the Uncharted series, in all honesty. I thought Lost Legacy was great. Until Dawn, very, very fun horror game. It's kind of built around sort of the Telltale formula where your actions and your dialogue choices affect how people think of you and sort of events that can happen in the future. We've got the Valkyria Chronicles here with 1 and 4. 1 you have the Platinum and the 100% in. 4 you've sort of dabbled, you haven't got too terribly far in. And then Valkyria Revolution, again, you've got the Platinum in, which is seriously impressive. In fact, it's kind of cool that you have the 2 rarer ones and not the 20% one. That's kind of cool to see. We've got Valkyrian Arc Hero School Story. I assume that's like either an RPG or a visual novel based on that name. Vampire, I like to see this Platinum, and on my birthday. Fuck yeah. I love to see Vampire. Vampire's a funny game. It's so janky, but kind of charming too. I enjoyed Vampire. It's so essentially you play as a doctor/vampire at I believe it's the Royal London Hospital, something like that. And you're a vampire, so you've got a story trying to sort of discover who turned you and why, and then you've also got a host of background characters that you can either feed on or not feed on. The trophies are kind of jank in that they require you not to feed on anyone, which means you'll permanently be super underleveled compared to the enemies, which made things very difficult, but all around I would say it's worth a crack. Visara Collection, I've never heard of Visara. Which in the Lost Atlas is kind of cool to see. Got some Wild Arms here with Wild Arms and Wild Arms 3. 3 having the Platinum Trophy. Wizards of Legend is a cool one. World of Final Fantasy is another one of these ones that I didn't know existed until prior to this series, where I've now seen it quite a few times. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is kind of like a platforming game, kind of like Spyro and stuff like that. I think at one point it was made to be like a mascot, but it didn't quite do well enough to achieve that sort of lofty heights. And then the last 2 games are Years 8 and Years Memories of Selketa. Awesome list, BurritoPrime. I really enjoyed that. We had some cool stuff there. Once again, I love to see stuff like Vampire. The Assassin's Creed collection was very, very nice. It seems like you're a big Souls fan. I'd be interested to see if you plan on doing things like the Surge at some point, because I know you did have the Lords of the Fallen, but I don't believe we saw the Surge in there at all. In fact, I'm pretty confident we didn't. I'm also curious because I swear, hold on, I swear, if I go up, you guys won't be able to see it, of course, but I will. If I go up, first Platinum, oh, no, okay. I stuffed up at the start of the video. I'm going to make a correction at the end because I'm a professional. First trophy, Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. First Platinum, Walking Dead Telltale, both 6 years ago. So I was kind of right. In my defense, I nearly got there, but yeah, let's round this. Let's wind this one down. Thank you so much if you got this far. If you did, do leave a cheeky like, cheeky subscribe. Let me know that I'm beautiful today, and I will see you guys next week. Burrito, thank you so much for letting me look at your account. Crack of an account. I loved seeing some of the stuff like the Batmans that we can see once again here. I can't even do those, so nice work. I will catch you guys next week. So I miss you. Goodbye. Goodbye.